Hi everybody and welcome to Mostly Old Parts. My name is Ron Ward and today I'm going to give you a guided tour around my 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner. Her name is Gladys. Had her since 1986 and it's been a long story. So let's get right to it and I'll show you around. Well, here she is. Brought her home Mother's Day of 1986. Found her in a barn over in Wamego, Kansas. I was working at the time at an auto parts store in Manhattan, Kansas, and put my way through school and put an ad underneath the glass on the front counter. Remember when auto parts stores used to have glass counters? That's been a few years back. Anyway, put an ad out looking for a 68 through 70 Roadrunner, GTX, Super B, Satellite, so on and so forth. And one of our customers came in and said, hey, I know where one is, in a barn in Wamego. The guy wants $350 for it. I thought, well, shoot, the transmission's worth at least that. So I went and bought it, drug it home, and started working on it. It originally had a 383 in it. That motor was locked up beyond belief. There was no way the pistons were coming out of that thing without anything short of a sledgehammer. So I took the crankshaft out of it and got a slightly used 400 and put the 383 crank in the 400. Didn't even have to rebalance anything. And drove it like that for many years until I blew it up on Christmas Eve of 1996. At that point I pulled the motor out and built a 440 for it and drove it as my daily through 98. At which point I decided I was going to tear the car apart and begin working on this. All of the rust that came with it when I bought it. Seriously, folks, the rust hasn't gotten any worse than when I bought it out of the barn. It just, it looks like it's been rusting forever. It stopped when I put it into the garage and got it out of the elements for a while. Anyway, I pulled the motor out thinking I was going to do the body work and put the engine in a 1971 Dodge Demon, and you can see the effects of the rust here, and drove it for a few years. Drag raced it, had some fun with it, had nitrous on it. It was a blast, but got divorced before I could get the body work done, and I still have brand new quarter panels on the wall to repair the outer part. The only problem is, you saw all the inner structure issues. I need outer wheelhouses, I need a trunk floor, I need trunk floor extensions. It needs a tail panel. Lots and lots of work to do to the old girl to get her right. And unfortunately, all that sheet metal costs a bunch of money, and I'm not a man who's made of a lot of money, so I just make do with what I got. Anyway, the current incarnation has a slightly warmed over motorhome engine in it. It's been rerung. Apparently the mains were turned 10 thousandths and the rods were left standard, and I found that out the hard way. And you can check all that information out on Uncle Tony's video of my car. But it's got a Holley 780 vacuum secondary on it, one of the original 3310-1s, probably the best carburetor that Holley ever made for street use. Those things are outstanding. Got comp cams. It's a split lift, split duration. What do they call those? They're high energy cams, and it seems to work out pretty good. It pulls hard through about 5,500 RPM. Got a set of Hooker 1 7/8 inch headers on it. These are the old hookers that were made back in the United States. I found these at a swap meet over in Lawrence, Kansas. The guy wanted $75 for them, and I snarfed them up like a fat kid in a candy store. They were in really nice shape. I went ahead and bead blasted them and just painted them with the VHT paint, and so far so good. If you use that VHT in really light coats like they recommend and make about 5 or 6 passes with the rattle can, that stuff seems to stick pretty good. Anyway, over the last couple of years I've been doing some work. The interior used to be an absolute rat's nest, and I don't use that term figuratively. It is quite literal. This was full of rats when I bought it. Had it done locally by a fellow named Shannon, and he has since moved down to Springfield, Missouri, and is doing work down there. So if you're in the
in the Springfield, Missouri area and you need some upholstery work done, I highly recommend Shannon Cottle. Give him a shout, and he can help you out. It is an original 4-speed car. I don't have any carpet in it right now, so I don't have the trim ring to hold the boot down. I've got some Gorilla Tape in there. You know how it is with these ratty cars, and I figure there's no sense in putting a new boot on it and putting a new trim ring on it until I get the new carpet in it, and that'll be done after I get the body work done, because there's no sense in getting body work dust all over brand new carpet. The headliner is an absolute thing of beauty. What's left of it is right there between here and here. That's all that's left of the original headliner. The rest of that is just all the jute and glue and stuff that kind of held everything in place. And then I've got back there by the sail panels, there's a little bit of material there. It makes for an interesting ride at about 75 miles an hour, because you never know what's going to fly off and hit you. On the column, I have quite possibly the first VDO tachometer. I don't have any light here. There it is. Quite possibly the first VDO tachometer ever sold in the state of Kansas. I got that from Aero Speed Warehouse back in 1987 when they first introduced their VDO series tachs and gauges in their lineup. It's got an original A12 lift-off hood from 1969. This one is about as rough as you're ever going to find, but it is in fact genuine Mopar issue. I picked it up for 25 bucks up in Randolph, Kansas, from a guy who had a slew of old Mopars up there that he was parting out and dismantling and getting rid of, and had a lot of fun getting that home. We toted it on the top of my 66 VW Beetle. Anyway, with the 4-speed, it's got 323 gears in it right now. Eventually I'll put the 391s back in, and we will have quite the fun out on the street here in Topeka. Well, hey guys and gals, thank you so much. If you have any questions, list them down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. And please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you tomorrow.